Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Laura Schifrin, and I will call the meeting to order of the Select Board on April 8th, 2005 at 6 p.m. Roll call.
Veronica Cal present.
And Laura Schifrin present. Would you all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I'm going to remain seated.
Yes, please, please. Going and toppling over. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank all of our veterans, as well as all of those in our military that are serving here and abroad, all our first responders, as well as all of their families. We owe you a debt of gratitude. We appreciate all of your service. I would also like to thank all of the volunteers that we have that do serve on our boards and committees, both appointed and elected, and for all that they do for the town. We appreciate and would love to have more of you. I don't have any other additions or deletions, I don't believe, right? No, okay. Then I will just add that we do still have a lot of positions available. Let's see, I believe we have.
Deletion would be the 3:11 minutes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
But we do have the March 10th, 2025. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes for March 10th, 2025.
And I second. Any discussion? I know we both reviewed.
I reviewed and I have none.
Okay, and I just had one strikeout and that was done.
Okay.
Okay, so on to.
We have to, did you second it? Do we have to
I
vote?
did second it.
Okay.
And we discussed. Roll call vote.
Veronica Cal, yes.
Laura Schifrin, yes. Okay. We have a couple of minutes. So having those couple of minutes, we're even early for the 6:05. Go to 3.1, if it pleases the board, to appoint Joseph Lennox as per diem firefighter, paramedic to the Townsend Fire EMS Department with an effective date of April 21st, 2025. Is there a motion?
I move to appoint Joseph Lennox as a per diem firefighter paramedic to the Townsend Fire EMS Department with effective start date 4/21/2025.
I second. Any discussion?
None for me.
Hearing none. Roll call.
Veronica Cal, aye.
Laura Schifrin, aye. 3.2, appoint Joe Patakula.
Yeah.
I think that's the best I could do with that.
Yeah.
As per diem firefighter, paramedic to the Townsend Fire EMS Department with an effective start date of May 1st, 2025.
I move to appoint Joe Patakula as per diem firefighter paramedic to the Townsend Fire EMS Department with effective start date 5/1/2025.
And I second. Is there any discussion?
None for me.
Hearing none. Roll call.
Veronica Cal, yes.
Laura Schifrin, yes. Okay, yes. 4.1, highway request for use of Chapter 90 funds, resurface Greenville Road, resurface Hillside Drive. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the highways request for use of Chapter 90 funds to resurface Greenville Road and to resurface Hillside Drive.
I'll second for discussion. I had a question on this, and I thought maybe Jim was going to be here.
I did speak to him.
Okay, as to how he determined where to use funds.
Yeah, he didn't get into the specifics, but I did ask him if, his presence was needed or not. He said it's pretty standard. Every year the select board kind of relies on his knowledge of the roads and the conditions and what needs to be done with the limited funds we have. And so every year he's based on all his experience and the conditions of the roads, he'll pick a handful of roads to pave. And this year he's targeting Greenville Road, Hillside Drive. And what he also said was, this is just sort of the spring portion of the paving. In the late summer timeframe, he'll have another request for you to do a few more streets, later in the summer into the fall.
Okay,
So this is just his initial request for this paving season.
okay, I'm just wondering if we could have a discussion with him then afterwards. Just so that we understand a little bit more, because I know a lot of our roads are in need.
Oh, absolutely. And, it's one of those things, we're doing these two roads. There's another 10 that need to be done. So,
Okay.
I mean, honestly, at this point, it's very difficult to really be caught up unless we have like the pavement program that was, cut out of the operating budget. Without an infusion of money like that, we're kind of always going to be behind the eight ball. But it's not a problem unique to us. But it is a problem nonetheless.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And we are getting more Chapter 90 funds this year. And there is also another bill, isn't there? That's
I was gonna say, I thought there was something coming up for
discussion,
infrastructure.
verbal
roads.
testimony this week, I thought.
Yeah, it's on Thursday.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so that's part of the bill that the governor is looking to increase Chapter 90 money. And you're right, we did receive close to $300,000 more than what we typically get. We're receiving just under 700,000, and normally we get just over 400,000.
Right,
So,
we did talk about that, right?
So that's a welcome change, and I think we can probably get a little bit more paving done. But not only this, when I was talking to Jimmy today, striping is actually part of it. Just because you do the roads is fine, but you still need the lines repainted, and some of them are kind of fading.
Okay.
And
Is he
striping is
including
actually
striping in that? I don't
no, it'll be it would cost down the road.
Okay.
But striping nowadays is actually not cheap either.
Nothing is.
No, and so I guess with striping, there's maybe like 3 different levels. There's a really basic, like, I forget, I think he said it was ceramic based paint. That's like kind of like the cheapest way of painting. Doesn't last very long. And then the middle and third tier, it's actually like an epoxy or like a plastic material. It lasts a little bit longer, but given New England winters, after 2 or 3 years, it's kind of
Has to be done anyway.
yeah. And like I said, restriping is actually not cheap at all. It's sometimes well over $100,000, and so
Just
that
for the striping.
so that could be a quarter of the Chapter 90 budget. So we're definitely stretching the dollars.
Okay.
You want a motion? Did we make a motion?
Yeah, we did. It was seconded for discussion.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Did we?
I did.
Yeah.
I seconded for discussion.
All right,
And then we ended
so
up with my question.
I guess the only thing I want to say is that for these 2 roads, the amount that's being spent is $374,060.
Yeah,
So-
Jimmy came up with a rough estimate, the length of the road and sort of the materials that are needed, so,
And that includes the lining,
No, the you mean the striping?
the striping.
That's
I
not
didn't see it
included.
on here.
This is purely just to resurface it.
Okay. Roll call.
Veronica Kell, yes?
Laura Schiffern, yes.
Okay, take your time. Sabrina, is the other person that's online, represent, oh yeah, they are, I see it, Tavern 13, yeah.
Okay, good.
I'm telling you, something about this room. Okay, sorry about that.
Her cough is, spreading.
Hey, you started.
I did, but it was over a month ago.
Right.
My cough is luckily better now.
I want to go back to 6:05, even though it's 6:10.
Yep.
One. Request for one-day special license alcohol by Tavern 13 for Mother's Day Market event at Birch House Chemicals on May 10th, 2025, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve Tavern 13's request for a one-day special license alcohol for the Mother's Day Market event at Birch House Botanicals on May 10th, 2025, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
My second. Discussion?
I believe Tavern 13 is, on the Zoom right now virtually, if they wanna, speak on that a little bit.
So we have done events here in the past. We've done a couple events here in the past. This specific event has been going on for years. They've moved it this year from their Leominster location to Townsend. So we're very familiar with the event. It's a lot of, brunch beverages. Last couple of years has been a lot of mimosas. And I think we did mimosas, wine, and beer. She does a great job with the coordination. She does great with signage, blocking off areas. We work with Lauren a lot, so I have no concerns with anything she plans. She's very thorough.
Where's it going to be held?
It's in Birch House, so she has vendors inside, and then us and food will be outside. I did ask her about rain, if there's a rain date, and she said no. If there's rain that day, she does plan on rearranging the indoors so that everyone will be inside. So, and that I believe happened last time, as we got moved inside, and there was plenty of room. We had no issues.
Does everybody know where Birch House is?
It's Salt and Sage, isn't it? Down 119 West Townsend. It's the old.
Is it across from Unfinished Furniture?
Yeah. The other
Oh.
building, the where they had housewares, the settle
Okay.
shop.
So the event itself takes place in other cities or towns, and they selected Townsend this year.
No, they own another business in Leominster. So the owner of Birch House Botanicals is like a partner with someone who owns another business in Leominster. So we work with both of them a lot.
Okay. Oh, that'll be a nice thing.
Yeah, they do a great job.
All right, any other further discussion?
Not for me.
Okay. Roll call.
Other than to ask, did we get all the, did everything come in, Sabrina? Okay, all right. In that case, Veronica Kell, yes?
And Laura Schiffern, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
You too.
Thank you.
Have to check that out.
Mother's Day.
Okay. March has gone to 6:15. So, Michelle, would you like to join us? And Michelle is here to talk to us about the regional energy.
Yes, thank you. Before I begin, I first wanted to thank the town administrator, Nelson Moy, for inviting me to this meeting, and as the select board as well for having me here tonight. And before speaking about my experience and what I will be doing with the 4 towns as part of my position, I just wanted to provide a brief overview of the Northern Middlesex Council of Governments, in case anyone is not familiar with them. So NIMCOG, the Northern Middlesex Council of Governments, also known as NIMCOG, was established as Massachusetts' 13 regional planning agencies in 1963. NIMCOG works with 9 communities in the Greater Lowell area and is governed by an 18-member policy council comprised of local, elected, and appointed officials. And the goal of the organization is to increase the capacity for municipalities to foster regional collaboration and coordination. So we are a 14-member team, and we provide planning and regionalization services to communities in transportation, economic development, sustainability, housing, zoning, just to name a few areas of focus. As for my experience, prior to joining NIMCOG, I was part of a consulting firm that focused on energy efficiency research throughout Massachusetts. And it was there I conducted energy audits in residential buildings, and I received my certification as a home energy rater, a HERS rater. And prior to that, during my degree, I worked for multiple municipalities in Texas, and I helped with public outreach and education related to sustainability, as well as mapping and updating the city of San Marcos's database of environmental hazards. And in 2022, I received a Master's of Applied Geography in Resource and Environmental Studies from Texas State University. My position as Regional Energy Manager is funded by an Energy Efficiency Community Block Grant. And this grant was funded through the bipartisan infrastructure law that's being administered by the Massachusetts Department of Energy Resources. The town of Pepperell led the effort to procure this grant, working in collaboration with the towns of Dunstable, Littleton, and Townsend.
I'm sorry, hold on a second, I didn't turn it off.
No worries. And I just want to emphasize too that all of the communities, Littleton, Townsend, Pepperell, and Dunstable, they played a crucial role in procuring NIMCOG services to hire a regional energy manager. So I started this role at the end of February. Through this grant, I will be working with 4 towns on designated priority projects. For Townsend and Littleton, I will be assisting with the creation of a climate action plan, which will take inventory of the town's greenhouse gas emissions and address actions that the towns can take to reduce these emissions, helping prepare them for the challenges that climate change will bring. I will be assisting Dunstable with an energy reduction plan that is part of their Green Communities grant. And then lastly, in Pepperell, I will be identifying ways that the town can help incorporate electrification and decarbonization measures into its plans for municipal buildings. However, one thing I did want to emphasize is that while each town does have its own priority projects, I see a lot of opportunities for regional collaboration, and I've also been speaking with the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission, which Townsend is part of, as well as the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, which Littleton is part of. So I'm hoping to kind of gather this information and ways that we can collaborate and plan to bring these organizations together, as well as each town's representatives to meet in the spring and discuss ways that we can collaborate and share their experiences so far. I'm really excited to be helping with the region's energy efficiency goals and find opportunities to learn and collaborate with other towns as well. So, Madam Chair, before turning it back to you, I did want to invite the opportunity for questions. I did also want to emphasize that we feel that public engagement in the climate action planning process will be really important. So I look forward to hearing suggestions on certain individuals, organizations, businesses, as well as any events in town that can help spread the word on the process and keep residents updated on the process as well. We really want to include as many people as possible in the plan. So with that, I'd like to invite any questions. And again, thank you so much for having me here tonight.
Well, thank you for coming. I always think that regional things are good to do because by reinventing wheels when you can get something
Exactly.
that everybody can use. Any questions, Veronica?
I guess, have you already touched base with MRPC?
Yes, so I met with Karen Chapman. Yeah, so she gave me a little bit of background on past efforts and shared some information as well and resources.
Because I thought they were, I'm looking through the minutes here, I thought they were doing something with emissions for the next follow-on for green
Yes.
communities.
So she actually, and the MAPC for Littleton, I believe they have a greenhouse gas emissions like inventory tool
Right.
that they've updated. So I've received that as well.
Okay, good. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, really excited to be in the role and work with you.
There was a grant coming up soon where if you had that study done, you could apply for like the next phase of being a green community, or I don't know if I have that exactly
I know there
right.
is
That's
another phase of kind of the green communities.
Climate leader community certification.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
it.
that's it. So, okay, that's great. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we've had that for a while now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Right. We're glad you're on board.
Thank you.
It's nice to have someone
Very excited about
coordinating
something she's gonna do too.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's great. Do you have a process for how you're gonna get each representative, and are you gonna be doing this virtually?
Yeah,
Your
typically,
meetings will be virtual.
yeah, virtual. I think just trying to get everyone sort of in one place might be a little bit difficult, but
Right.
you know, Zoom works really well. And,
Right.
and we've actually had a meeting with the 4 representatives in the past, and we plan to kind of continue that monthly meeting just to share updates. And
But are you now gonna have more than 4
I'm hoping to
for your
bring
meetings?
maybe like representatives from MRPC and MAPC as well to such a meeting. So yeah, that's kind of the idea I had in mind.
Okay,
So Pepperell and Dunstable are both NIMCOG communities.
Yes, they are.
Okay. That's interesting that you have all 3 different ones.
Mhm.
But that's good.
Mhm.
That's good.
And who would be coming from Townsend? Would that be Ron? Would that be the Energy Committee Chair? or-
So Michelle hasn't had a chance to formally introduce herself to the Energy Committee yet.
Oh,
We were
okay.
trying to, but she had a prior engagement at the when Ron had his
Right, in our
previous
last
meeting.
meeting.
But she's introduced herself at least via email, so we're trying to get her on the docket for the next Energy Committee meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I reached out to them as well, just to kind of explain where I'm at in the process too, and like scoping out the work plan. And I'm hoping I can maybe meet with them if they have the time prior to the Energy Committee meeting.
Yep,
And your email, you have Michelle's email?
I do.
Okay. So,
Yep.
okay, good. So we can get her on a list somewhere so people know how to contact her if they want to.
Mhm. Yep.
Sounds great.
All right.
Is there anything else? Michelle, we appreciate you coming.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much. Yeah.
thank you.
And where do you live?
I live in Somerville, but I was coming from Lowell, where the NIMCOG's office is.
Oh, okay. That's a long ways.
Oh, it's not a problem.
Okay. I forget, I used to think so too.
Books on table, wonderful.
3 hours was not a problem. Okay. Yeah, we're good. If there's anything, unless you want to say anything else.
I think that's it.
Okay. All right. Well, you're welcome to stay, or you can go back home in the light.
Well, thank you so much again for having me, and yeah, looking forward to continuing the work.
All right,
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I think that brings us down to 4.2.
right.
Muslim Democratic Town Committee request for use of meeting room 2 for caucus on Sunday, May 3rd at 10 a.m.
Is it Sunday or is it Saturday? I thought it was Saturday.
Oh, Saturday, sorry, I read it wrong.
Um, I believe that in the past they have met at town hall on weekends. It's the caucus weekend. I know Priscilla had contacted me, and I had suggested the library because they're open on weekends for the meeting hall as a possibility, because we are not open on the weekend. So that's the only concern I have about it. So I guess my question is, do others use the meeting room on the weekend, and how does that work?
Not that often at all, I believe.
I know that it has been.
Does it require police presence or anything like that? How would the doors be opened?
It is on a schedule, so whatever hours they were planning on meeting on that Saturday, we would just adjust the lock, unlock schedule here at Town Hall accordingly. There wouldn't be personnel here per se during those hours, but
And then the only,
Do we have a length of time? I see a start time, but I don't see an end time.
let me see the request.
do you know how many people would be coming?
They would all have to fit in the meeting room too.
They said 12 to 15 is what they said, which would fit in meeting room too.
I don't see an end date for, an end time for their,
Possibly 12 to 3.
Oh, I thought it was 10.
It says 10 a.m.
Oh, that's the number of people then. Never mind.
Did they, did they fill out a request form?
We don't have a request form for our meeting room 2. So it's a request to be in this room on the weekend for that purpose.
I don't know what your pleasure.
and they have met here on weekends, like once in a blue moon.
I think so.
I think so too.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it in my past.
Oh, no?
No.
Hmm. Maybe we could find out a little bit more before tomorrow. Can I put this on tomorrow?
Madam Chair, this is Cindy King. Can I speak?
Sure.
Hi.
Do you know about this?
Yes, I'm not on the Democratic Town Committee. I was a few years back, but this is a meeting that happens every year. It's an annual meeting where the committee has to elect attendees that are going to go to the Democratic State Convention. I think it's going to be in the fall this year. I haven't followed it for that. I'm not quite sure. But this is an annual meeting that has been done for decades in Town Hall on a Saturday. And it's a relatively small group, depending on what election year we're in. I don't even know who's running for what, but sometimes state and federal candidates, if they're an election in the fall, will sometimes come and do a little campaign speech. But I looked at your agenda and I see they're only asking for meeting room 2. So they're not that's not going to be a huge crowd, but it's some familiar name. I don't want to name people out of turn, but they're well-known people who are very active in the town. They're people that are trustworthy. You know them very well. And I can say that they will certainly take care of the building. So I wouldn't worry about them coming in and not taking care of the building. They'll be right by. Meeting room 2 is right by the door. I mean, this is a routine event.
I mean, it is. I'm not worried about them. I'm more
somebody
concerned
not-
about someone who decides to come in and for whatever reason, who isn't part of that group.
Well, they
That's
could come in,
what's-
they could enter right now and disrupt your select board meeting if they wanted to disrupt something, but this has not been an issue for the Democratic Town Committee for the decades that they've been doing this. I'm not familiar with any particular armed group, that's militia group that's going to be coming in and storming town hall. And I want to just speak for the members of the Democratic Town Committee that I'm confident that they will know how to handle themselves. And
I'm certainly sure that the members of the committee can handle themselves. It's the possibility otherwise, which never used to be a concern.
Yeah, I know.
And that's the hesitation for me. So
What did Leslie say about the library?
I don't know. I haven't. I've only had inquiries for town hall. I suggested the library, but I don't know the outcome of that. It just seems to me that having it at the library, which is a building that is open and therefore on, patrol routes or whatever, where there are more people present, could be a good idea.
And if I can add, ladies, that the Republican Town Committee will be in asking the same questions. They may not have their meeting on the weekends. I have no idea when they meet, but if they have a caucus, they will probably have it in town hall. And whatever restrictions you're putting on one political party, I hope you're going to put it on all the political parties that set foot in town hall.
Absolutely.
Maybe we should look into a form or policy
We can do
that will apply to everybody,
That's a good idea.
So, but for this, and this is coming up pretty quick.
Yes, it is.
So I think I'd like to give them an answer, but even though it is pretty quick, we would still have at least another week, I think, to get an answer if we want to get more information. It's up to you.
They do have to publicize where they're gonna, hold this.
They did wanna have an answer this week.
I think since they've sort of done this every year in the past, I don't anticipate it being a problem.
For them, I don't think it is. I really don't. I mean, it's otherwise.
Okay, well, I'd like to look into a policy then for that, but it's a little late for them right now, so can we just act on this one and put it on our list of things to do?
We can do that.
Any further discussion? Hearing, seeing none. Roll call.
We need a motion.
Oh, would you make a motion?
I move that we permit the Townsend Democratic Town Committee to use meeting room 2 for the caucus on Saturday, May 3rd, 2025, beginning at 9:30 and ending at, let's say, 2:30 p.m.
It gives them more than enough time, but what if they only, like to noon? And we have the unlock thing.
Okay, so let me amend my motion.
We verified.
I move that we allow the use of meeting room 2 for a caucus on Saturday, May 3rd, 2025 at 10 a.m., ending, no, at 9:30 a.m., so they have set up time, ending at 2:30 p.m. for the Democratic Town Committee, with the caveat that they inform Sabrina of the time they will be ending if it is earlier than 2:30.
Okay, and I second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Veronica Kell, yes.
Lenore Schiffern, yes. Thank you. Thank you for the input. 4.3, mandatory referral notice from the planning board. I think that's floodplain.
You sure it's not food? Oh, I noticed that too. It's a typo.
Somebody must have been hungry. Okay,
Typo.
so,
Fast fingers.
do you have, is there a form here
There is.
for the referral?
Yeah, is it in your, that's your packet, so you'll need to go to 4.3.
And there is the. This,
I'm wondering why the. This is more than just the floodplain.
I'm gonna read, just for the record, I'll read the referral notice. In accordance with General Law C-40A, Section 5, the Townsend Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Monday, April 14th, 2025 at 7:10 p.m. in person at 272 Main Street, Massachusetts, Townsend, Massachusetts, regarding certain proposed amendments to the town zoning bylaw, being Chapter 145 of the Town Code as follows. By deleting from Article 9, entitled Special Provisions, the entirety of Section 45, entitled Floodplain District, and substituting a new Section 45, therefore, relative to the regulation of the floodplain overlay district to comply with the requirements of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and the National Flood Insurance Program, NFIP. By adding to the zoning by adding to zoning in section entitled Attachments, a map entitled Townsend, Mass. Zoning Map containing the floodplain overlay district as effective area, effective as of July 8th, 2025. 3, by amending Article 9 entitled Special Provisions, Section 54, 1, entitled Age-Restricted Development, so as to reduce the acreage requirements for these developments to 1 acre, so as to render age restriction obligatory, and to authorize the planning board to grant certain waivers. The complete text of the proposed amendments above is available for your review in the land use office at Town Hall and or the following link. So that was the legal notice for this. Is there a motion? Or?
What is the motion? I don't think there's a motion
No.
needed. You're on the planning board,
I am,
and so I would be speaking just for myself.
okay.
And so, so I think no comment is probably the best. I am not in agreement with reducing it to 1 acre. Everything else is fine with me, but the 1 acre I'm not on board with. But
Well,
that's me.
actually, that's actually a separate issue.
No, it's,
The floodplain map,
oh, I'm good
Is
with the
mandatory.
floodplain map, the zoning attack. This is a referral notice for a hearing for 3 different
Separate things,
things.
yeah.
And so the floodplain, fine, the attachments, the Townsend zoning, that, fine. The thing I have an issue with is, and the only thing I have an issue with in the 55 and over, is the reduction from a 2 acre minimum to a 1 acre minimum. I have a problem with that.
Okay.
But that's my own personal problem. I assume it's not a board problem. So I would say no comment.
All right, and my personal comment on that is that it's only in the purview to reduce it if the Board of Health has approved a septic system for such, and if there's town water. So those would be the requirements. It wouldn't be issued.
And did they add something that makes it actually 55 and over?
Yes,
Where is that?
that was
I didn't see it.
instructed, and it was reviewed by council and given
Good.
to us. But this is just,
Oh, here, F. I see it. In that case, I'm better.
thank God. I'm telling you, I worked it.
Thank you.
That was not,
So I'm no comment, but you might see me at the hearing on the 14th.
well, now that you've seen it,
I am no
you're
comment.
still no comment.
I'm no comment. Yeah. So
Okay, I'm gonna leave it at no comment.
I think that's the best way to do it here. If there were 3 of us and we could get a board thought,
Yeah.
that would be one thing, but we can't. So.
I'm glad you're happy.
Happier.
Happier.
Okay,
Okay, so,
that's good.
right, agenda. Question 4, acceptance of the engagement letter with Roselli, Clark and Associates for audit of Town of Townsend basic financial statements.
I move that we assign the town administrator, Nelson Mui, as a signatory for the engagement letter with Roselli, Clark and Associates for fiscal year 2025, fiscal year 2026, and the option of fiscal year 2027 for the audit of the town of Townsend finances.
And I'll second that. And this is with the recommendation from the audit committee.
Yes, it is. And I am the representative to the audit committee. It's Don Hayes and I.
Okay.
He's the FinCom rep.
Right.
And we went through this at our last audit committee meeting. My only question is, was this reviewed by town council? Yes. Okay.
Oh, we didn't get a reply yet.
Oh,
Actually,
then I would
Subject
say
to.
it's subject to
yeah,
a positive response from town council.
and
Yeah,
they,
second.
they actually strongly recommended that the auditor, that we use our contract language that town council has sort of set aside. There's a lot of language that protects the town. So they recommended that we use that versus their boilerplate.
I believe when we did this 3 years ago, what we did, because is we use the town's contract and and this was the attachment
Yep,
to the contract.
that's typically how it's done. So this would be like an exhibit or a statement of, like the statement of work.
Mhm.
And yeah, it would be attached to the town's
Standard
standard
board.
boilerplate.
Yes, that is what we had done in the past.
Yep.
So that was the motion to accept it, pending council review.
Okay, and I second.
All right,
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Veronica Kell, yes.
Laura Schiffern, yes. Thank you, and Don, for that. 4.5, second reading of the emergency funds policy.
All right, should I read it first and
Yes,
then
ma'am.
make the motion?
Yeah.
So this is policy 01-2025, replacing policy 05-2023, Townsend Emergency Assistance Funds policies. The purpose is the town holds several trust funds, the proceeds of which are to aid the town's needy. Residents facing financial hardship may apply to the town for assistance from such emergency assistance funds, formerly termed worthy funds. Requests for assistance shall be administered in accordance with the administration process outlined here. Administration process 1. The select board will assign annually a select board member to serve as a participant in the emergency assistance program. 2. Applicants are referred to the emergency assistance program by the select board administrative assistant or other public entity. Number 3, the select board emergency assistance program participant or a member of the Abram S. French Committee will conduct an application interview with the resident. A, this should be completed either in person with the applicant or over the phone. Those conducting the assistance funds interview should complete the form during the interview. And the form is attachment 1 to the policy. That's not written here, but during the interview, as much information as possible is collected to help build the narrative for the applicant's needs. And C, the completed interview sheet is submitted to the select board administrative assistant. Number 4, applicants will receive a hard copy of the emergency assistance funding request form following the application interview. That is attachment 2. A, applicants need to provide all the information listed on the request. B, all materials should be submitted to the select board administrative assistant. C, the select board administrative assistant will create a confidential file for the applicant, including all materials. Number 5, after the confidential applicant file has been completed, an emergency assistance program meeting will be coordinated by the select board administrative assistant, and the applicant request will be reviewed, discussed, and put to a vote. This meeting must include A, the select board emergency fund participant, B, one member of the Abram S. French Fund Committee, C, the town administrator or a designee. D, if this committee approves the request by majority vote in full or in part, it shall identify the fund from which the disbursement will be made, and it shall cause a warrant to be processed for payment. Number 6, select board administrative assistant will complete the warrant and submit it to the accountant's office. A, the town accountant will need in the warrant an original copy of the bill to be paid out for the applicant. And B, the select board administrative assistant will receive a copy of the bill and the town administrator will sign the warrant to complete the submission process. Number 7, this is a typo. It says 6 still. Number 7, once the warrant has been processed, the assignee by the person who conducted the interview will perform a follow-up with the applicant. And this is the second reading on 4/08/2025. And attached is the attachment 1, the assistance funds interview sheet, which is what is used when you're interviewing the applicant, and attachment 2, which is the emergency funding request, the thing that the applicant needs to return after the interview is conducted. They will receive that and return it. The only change that was made on the 2 attachments was the address for where the information should be sent. So emergency funds care of the select board as opposed to care of the community services coordinator.
So, I will entertain a motion to accept this now and for signing, after the correction of the typo
And pending town council review.
and pending town council review.
So moved.
And a second. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. Roll call.
Veronica Kell, yes.
Laura Schiffern, yes.
So just to go back, we need town council to review Roselli and Clark and to review the emergency funds.
So now we're going to 4.6. And that is when we got that grant. Just digitization of town records.
Yep.
I think you're reporting on that, Nelson?
I am. So this is one of the last grants Erin had submitted prior to her leaving. It's a community compact grant, and it's specifically the information technology grant program. And one of the things that we sort of identified that Townsend is in great need of is a digitization of our all of our paper records. We have boxes in every nook and cranny that you can think of, including the old art library, which is not part of this. That's kind of a different project to tackle altogether, because a lot of the stuff is moldy and just, rotting away. So that's might not
even retouch some of that stuff.
right. It's probably not a candidate to digitize, but we certainly have enough
Departments that need it.
correct. So we originally had submitted for $200,000 worth of work. We kind of split it. Erin took a quick wag at she went around to every department and saw the boxes and files they had and just kind of did a quick wag of, how much that would cost, and kind of divided it up amongst multiple departments. So, she had an estimate of 200,000. We didn't get the full 200,000. We only got 133,727, which is basically 2/3 of our original ask. Still a pretty good amount. I think we can get a lot done with that amount that's been given to us. Let me just see here how long we have to.
What was that amount again?
133,727. Let me just see how long we have. We haven't.
Okay.
We have until October 31st, 2026 to utilize this contract grant. So about a year and a half. So once we sort of sign the contract, we would now find a vendor that can do this type of work. I'm going to be looking at the state contract list to see if there's any providers that do this sort of thing. There are some big companies out there that do this on a regular basis, scanning mountains and mountains of documents.
I will forward you an email. When I went to MMA, I looked at a couple people that did digitization. I was thinking of the old library. I wasn't thinking of town hall.
Mhm.
And there is one vendor who is on the state list who has emailed me a couple times.
Okay.
I'll forward it to you, but I'm sure there are others too. But I will
So-
And what
forward
about
that to you.
asking another town like size if they've taken
Who they've
advantage of one
used.
of these and find out, get a couple of recommendations maybe from them?
Mhm.
Yep, I can ask around, see what they have.
Get at least 3 bids, I would
Um,
think.
well, if it's on the state contract list, we might not need to necessarily go that route. You know, sometimes the state bid list, they'll just say, contact 2 or 3 vendors on this list and
Oh,
and get
yeah.
a quote from them. And you don't have to go through a full-blown RFP process, because the state has sort of already done some of the legwork for us. So that saves us a lot of time when you can find vendors on the state bid list.
We did that for shared streets and spaces when we were, buying picnic tables for the common and things like that.
Yep.
We used the state list.
Okay,
And usually the pricing, the state has already negotiated on everyone's behalf to sort of get the best pricing from the vendor. So I'll start looking around, see what vendors we can line up. We certainly have a year and a half to sort of get everything completed, and especially since we only have 2/3 of the original budget. So I'll once that's up and running, I'll talk to the various departments, so everyone at least gets some of the scanning, so free up some space.
Right.
But it's certainly not gonna be nearly enough, but
after scanning, is shredding included? Once you scan, don't you shred?
Well, you would
In
need,
order to
Save
get
it
more
for a
space?
year.
you would need a request I think through the Secretary of State to dispose of the records that you want to get rid of. So even though, say for example, it's outside the statute of limitation of, it's beyond that point, you still need actual permission from the state. You need to write them a letter detailing what you plan to dispose of, and then you need to wait to hear back from them, and that's when you can legally get rid of it. So there's a process involved. So I can probably talk to the town clerk to see when the last time we did something like that was.
If ever. I don't
If
think
ever.
No.
Right, I agree.
No.
I don't
Well,
know.
Well, we did get rid of older records in the land use office. There's a records retention period for some things, and I know land use went through maybe 4 years ago or so.
It's just a document you ask for the state. It's
Yeah.
a form.
yeah,
Mhm.
We get back pretty quick.
Yeah,
but nonetheless, that's part of the
and
process.
so it has happened, but
Yeah. So it's just to, cover our bases, so if there was ever a question of why'd you do that, you can say you submitted your request to the state and you received the response that.
Do you know if before they got rid of those records of land use, did they scan? And
I don't think so. It was age. It was, they were old. I don't know what all they got. Some of it was duplicates. There were a lot of duplicate files. I don't remember what all. I wasn't involved with doing it, but I know that was done.
so, is there a motion?
I move that we name Nelson Wee as the town administrator, as the signatory authority to sign the community compact grant paperwork for the information technology grant in the amount of $133,727.
I second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Veronica Kelly, yes.
Laura Schiffern, yes. Thank you. Brooklyn 7 U13 Walk Bridge Mass Works Grant. Engineering design permitting contract with McFarland Johnson. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I move that we grant Nelson Mui, Town Administrator, signatory authority to sign the McFarland Johnson contract contingent on Town Council's review. And this is for the Route 13 Walk Bridge Mass Works grant.
Second. Any discussion?
So this was another grant that Erin had submitted and got. She got a lot of grant money. And I think you were part of that meeting where we described to you that little pedestrian area that this project was for. Right? Do you remember that?
I remember it.
Yeah. It was Route 13. It's
Here.
yeah, it's the
Yeah.
You know where it is.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yep. So we got a
I
grant.
keep
So
thinking that way.
No,
But I know exactly where it is.
So the first round of grant funding that we received for this project is just for the engineering and design of it, which is what this contract is for. And once we have that fully complete, we can apply for a different grant to actually do the construction. Correct. So this is just the first step in getting the project up and off the ground. And we've already had a preliminary meeting with the vendor, McFarland Johnson. So we're just looking to officially get them on board so they can start designing and engineering it.
Okay, is there a motion?
I made the motion, I thought.
I seconded, that was discussion.
Veronica Kell, yes?
Laura Schiffern, yes.
All right, so we're all set.
Four point eight, review, discuss Metro Gov contract expiration options for continuance website maintenance. Nothing.
So currently we are on a contract with Metro Gov. I guess they kind of serve as the webmaster. If there's a need to upload certain documents or update certain web pages, their services are at our disposal at 24 hours per month, to do those tasks. So their contract is about to expire. There is potentially a conflict of interest moving forward. Harrison, who's running to be the town clerk, Metro Gov is, I think he has a stake in it, but more importantly, I think his father is the owner of the company.
He is listed as the CEO on whatever page this is.
Okay.
And given that, I would want to wait to do anything with this until later in May. I think this goes through the end of the fiscal year, correct?
Correct.
So I think I think this should be on one of our first meetings in May to discuss further. That said, I want to look at this as a contract for the procurement of the following. There are some things that I want changed there. For example, the contractor will be responsible for migrating data from the town's existing website to the new website currently in process of creation. I want that changed from the town's former Civic Plus website to the revised website that is currently in operation. And I don't know if we're not using them, then I think we want to look at the town standard contract and go out to bid or whatever, I don't know, the bidding is actually it, because we're not looking at huge dollars here, but,
Yeah,
nothing over 10,000.
correct, and this wouldn't, exceed that. We don't even have the budget, frankly, for anything beyond what's,
So
current in the budget.
yeah,
So yeah, we were thinking we can either, find, individual or company that could do something like this. My other thought was, maybe, keeping it in-house and giving someone a stipend for it.
Good idea.
if someone's interested in doing that, yeah.
There might be 3 or 4
Um,
people interested in doing that.
And at that point,
I'm not opposed to that.
so that was a idea I had. I think, there's a lot of, pluses to doing that.
Yes.
Having it in-house, you certainly get a quicker response versus an individual who might be doing it on the side or as a business. So, as we get closer to the end of the fiscal year, we can have some more discussions on what that ends up looking like. But yeah, I think there will be some interested people. Do as well. Yep.
So, table to the first meeting in May.
First meeting in May is town meeting, unless we want to do it on the day of town meeting prior, or, May, I want to put a date on it is what I'm trying to do. May,
We could do that to make a decision of how we're gonna look that day rather than a long conversation.
okay,
Because we'll know.
yeah,
what
right,
happened
we'll know
the
by
week
then.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just have it
Okay.
on for a brief update.
Yeah,
Update
on
of,
May 6th, yeah.
okay.
But MetroGov did get some guidance from the State Ethics Commission, and the state was in agreement that it would be a conflict of interest, and MetroGov, if Harrison were to be elected town clerk, MetroGov wouldn't be able to do business with the town of Townsend. So, and he recognizes that, and he's more than willing to, have MetroGov just sunset
Okay.
out. He also mentioned, this is if we weren't going to do it in-house, but he has some contacts over at Neshoba Tech, and
That's how we started out with him.
yeah, there's still people who are in the computer science field at that school, so maybe this is some like a side business for a senior at the tech school, or maybe a recent graduate who is looking to get some more experience. So,
Or attending college and could do this part-time.
Yeah. So he mentioned he might be able to get us in touch with a few folks that might fit that bill.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're down there, 4.9, performance review of town administrator and select board town administrator assistant. Are they
On paper.
We always
both?
do the town administrator in public, that's probably in the
I thought the
contract,
other was
but not
executive.
the not the administrative assistant.
Yeah, I think that's offline.
That is offline.
Okay. Okay, so, how do you wanna do this? Do you want me to read it
Yes,
first and then we discuss?
I think just read.
Just read.
And there's a form that is, we can discuss, and then there's a spot for comments that can be done offline.
Okay, so you've had experience with this before and I have not. So I've
Very minimal.
done the evaluation and made comments, and the only thing that we don't have is, comments from Nelson.
Which, and unless we want to, I mean, another
just read it?
option is, because Nelson hasn't seen this yet.
I know.
So it.
Oh, yeah, it was my first time seeing it.
Yeah, so maybe what we
me
want
read
to
it.
do, well, I'm wondering, yeah, we could, or we could let him do it.
Gets presented to him.
Here it gets presented to him. Okay. You have more experience with this, Sabrina, than me. I haven't done this in a couple years, so. So yeah, go ahead and read. Okay. You want to read it out loud? Do we
Is
want to
that how
read
it's
it
done?
into the record?
I've read it already.
Is it
Oh,
read
it's
into the
read
record?
into the record. You,
Is it read
No,
into the record?
it's a discussion.
oh, it's a discussion. All right, so let's give,
You would tell your reviews and you tell your reviews and then.
Well,
this is the
These
compilation of both.
This is
Yeah, this is the one that, this is
Callie
the
did.
official one.
That's the official one.
Yeah, so Callie took
Did
our
this,
responses and compiled them to come up with the,
I'm good with reading it. I'm
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
That's fine.
okay. So, this evaluation window is August of 24 to March of 25, which is not exactly accurate. Because,
You guys were only here since
right, this is
November.
our evaluation.
so it's really November to, I mean, there's,
December.
yeah,
Yeah, because November 19th was our first meeting.
I think I noted that in
18?
what I wrote.
November 18th
Mhm.
was no, 19th was our first meeting.
Yeah, it was like the 18th when we were elected, I think.
16th.
Was it the 16th?
Oh, yeah.
I can't
won't
even
forget that
remember.
day,
Okay,
ever.
And you were sworn in probably on the 18th, and the first.
that might be
meeting
when we were sworn
was on
in.
the 19th.
Yes,
Yeah.
we were. Right. So I'm thinking, sorry, but this is November 18th.
Are you gonna edit that?
I am.
Okay, I'm good with that.
November 18th to, I think I was speaking through April 1st.
Yeah, that was the
Not
same with
March.
me, right?
Oh,
Well, it's
March
not a
30th.
difference, anyway,
But we had a meeting on April 1st. And this is I would say April 1st.
okay.
Just so everybody knows, in my mind, this is what I spoke of.
In mine too, I even stated that
Okay,
it was
I did too.
that time
Okay.
period, yeah.
So you may have started before us,
Right.
but sorry.
You didn't even
Not-
have a
not
select board
speaking
for
to
much of that.
I know. And you guys spoke to that, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So, okay, during the performance evaluation window, that's been edited, incoming town administrator Nelson Yu met with select board expectations in every performance review category and averaged a 3.3 rating overall. Meaning, okay, I'll read the whole thing. All active select board members evaluate the town administrator's performance on an individual basis. The individual evaluations are then combined into the summary format under which performance ratings of each category are averaged. Comments of individual select board members are also included as required to support individual ratings. So the evaluation criteria is 1, financial health of the town, 2, contract negotiations, 3, staff development, growth, recruitment, 4, personnel and professional growth, 5, town building infrastructure. The rating scale is 1, unsatisfactory, 2, below expectations, 3, meets expectations, 4, exceeds expectations, and 5, outstanding. Performance ratings of Nelson Yu. 1, financial health of the town. The score was 3. 2, Contract negotiations, the score was 3. 3, staff development, growth, recruitment, the score was 4. 4, personal and professional growth, score was 3. And the town building infrastructure was 3.5. Goal settings. As the circumstances under which Mr. Mew came on board have required 100% of his attention thus far to be reactionary in nature, a target list of proactive goals shall be outlined within the forthcoming document from the select board. That's not been done yet, to my knowledge.
We usually did that after town meeting was over. Usually it was late May, early June, that
Okay.
we set goals for the next fiscal year.
Okay.
So,
Recent and current circumstances. Within the first 30 days of Nelson Mew's coming on board in late August of 2024, we lost 2 selectmen and we were still putting out fires. To further complicate, this is, I think, from both of our observations, even though we were not select board members. for
this
those
is a
3 months.
composite, yes.
Yeah. To further complicate matters, during the short time frame of this performance evaluation window, yet another select board member resigned and 2 new select board members started. At one point, 6 weeks had passed without select board meetings at all until the 3rd week of November, at which time a grueling budget process was to begin. Burdened with the task of mitigating the town's current financial crisis, long hours are still being required of the TA to draft plans with the select board and FinCom, which upon sharing continue.
That's right.
Why am I? Which upon sharing continue to create conflict with residents and personnel regarding methods of cutting costs. The town has yet to solidify a planned response in the event that its attempt to pass an override on May 6th fails, at which point cuts in municipal services and or personnel would be inevitable. All of this turbulence would be a lot for any incoming town administrator, especially one who is new to the role of town administrator, as is Nelson Mew. Yet still he stands fighting the good fight and doing so with great diplomacy. Comments from select board regarding character and capacity. These are all quote unquote. Nelson is very even-tempered administrator in that he is calm and always learning from situations and staff. He is thoughtful and very responsive to his communications with the select board. He is learning the town and the lay of the land of municipal government. Regarding infrastructure and energy, Nelson has worked with both the facilities manager and on maintenance being planned for Memorial Hall going forward, and with the energy committee to submit the report for the former Green Communities Grant and the application for the new Green Communities Grant. I know that he has had numerous conversations with the head of maintenance. Town Properties Committee takes care of recommendations to make transfers or sale of actual buildings and properties owned. I do not believe he has worked on a 5-year plan given capital planning and income input. Some of that's going on, I think. Regarding contract negotiations, Nelson put forward the guidelines for the negotiations and has worked to see that the team has what is needed. Schedule meetings with legal counsel and among ourselves, having the required responses prepared for each negotiation.
This is the police union contract.
Yeah.
That was not my comment.
That was
because I'm
my
not
No,
involved.
I just want to make sure people are aware it's the.
Yeah.
You're
It's
thinking
the
of,
police union
yeah.
contract.
Oh, okay.
it is the police union
Yeah, that is
contract.
the police union.
And that is
That's
my
the first
comment.
one started.
Yeah.
That's the first one.
Correct.
No,
Well,
we,
It's the one that's expiring.
at the end of June, the
And that
police
is your
contract
first
expires.
negotiation for a union contract.
Well, here in town.
Yes.
Yes.
That's,
Yeah. Okay,
that was in my mind.
all right.
Now it's out. I have worked for Nelson, I have worked with Nelson for only 5 months approximately, November through April. Nelson has done an excellent job of working with department heads and reviewing their budgets with both the select board and the finance committee. There was an unanticipated change in the focus after the special town meeting on March 10th. When the school committees asked for the town unexpectedly changed. Nelson stepped up and continues to work collaboratively with all departments to determine a new budget that cuts 20% of the funding that the March 1st budget summit determined would be needed for municipal services. He concurrently is investigating what a budget that needs no override looks like. A budget that still provides the services to the town, but at a minimum level. Regarding the future, looking ahead, hopefully we will be in a better place physically by June 30th. I believe that if Nelson commits his focus to our town, he will grow to love the community as we have. He, Nelson, has the potential to become an excellent town administrator. End of report.
I think Karen did a good job on knowing what I know from my end. I don't know what you wrote, but I
Yeah.
know what I wrote in this.
Yeah.
And I think she did a
good.
good job of
Yeah.
compiling. So,
I thank you for, the kind words from you guys. It has been, an interesting ride so far, I started off, with kind of a budgetary issue when I first started, getting the pay-as-you-throw program sort of up and running. It had its challenges and, there was some reluctance into doing it, which was understandable. But I think, we're 6 months into it. Well over 6 months now. It's kind of, it's just a part of life now. So while I think there was some hiccups in the beginning, I think that, overall is performing, pretty decently. The 2 select board members, resigning within a month of me being here certainly didn't help matters, that there was no stability. I think Teresa and I sort of did what we could to get us until the special election happened. And then, we got a full board, but that only lasted, 5-6 weeks, so, yeah. So, but in less than a month, we'll have a 3rd member, and I think at that point, we'll have a really solid foundation, to get some stuff done. But it's definitely been challenging, to say the least, since I've started, but, I've kind of waded through, just try to stay above water. It certainly has not been easy. I think someone said, yeah, it's been very reactionary at the moment, since the beginning. I wish I had a little bit more time devoted to learning more about the staff and, how they, do things, just learning more about them, just even on a personal level. But it's been so busy that I rarely have time to even step out of my office, for anything, just even for, a quick stroll outside. So, but I'm hoping in the coming months, things will settle down a little bit. I can get into a better groove where, I can, again, maybe devote a little bit more time to getting to know the staff a little bit better. I really like enjoying talking to them, but I just haven't had too much time to devote to learning more about them, personal level, because I feel like that's pretty important. So, I look forward to the end of the budget season. Hopefully,
We all do.
yeah, yeah, and kind of catch my breath, and we can reset and work on the next set of projects that we have going on. So I really appreciate the select board support, and I've really enjoyed working with you. You've seen me. I've been in the trenches with you day in and day out, meetings, all the time. Interviewing, hiring people. So, I've been right there with you from the beginning in the trenches, just doing what we can to keep things afloat. So, I look forward to it.
We're good?
We are. So, do I need to make a motion to sign, and then Nelson can determine what he wants to write and then sign? Does that sound right? Okay, I'm going to make a motion that the select board members sign the review for Nelson Roy, and
at the first page we changed, please, on the dates from
for
November
the
18th. We cannot
yeah.
speak before that.
Yeah, I can have Callie make those changes.
Yeah.
So is there a motion?
Yes, I move that the select board members sign the performance review for the town administrator.
Second.
All right. Do we have an official? I wrote on this. Do we have an official one to sign?
Yes.
We'll need to change it though.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll sign it
You can
out of
sign it
session.
Out of session.
We will sign it
We
out
can
of
sign it out of
session.
session because,
Yeah.
that last page won't be affected. The signing
Put that
page.
in a motion.
Okay, so I move that we sign the, changing the motion yet again. I move that we sign the performance evaluation summary of Town Administrator Nelson Moy out of session.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Veronica Kell, yes.
Laura Schiffern, yes. Thank you. Let's go on to work session. 5.1, Town Administrator updates and reports.
So this morning was the Ways and Means Committee. They had a meeting. It was virtual and live. They were in Boston, and we were going to mobilize to speak on behalf of the school district's budget issues that we're having, and sort of the formula issues. I had submitted my name ahead of time to provide testimony virtually. They actually did call me, and I did have about 2.5 minutes. Veronica actually was on the call.
I was on the call.
And
I was at home and on the call watching the ways and means, so.
So they give you a very tight window, usually 3 minutes to say your piece, and then that's all they give you. So prior to that, I sort of did up a narrative, had Sabrina time me, so I made sure I was under the time limit.
Stop you.
Because Representative Scargill has informed me that in the past, if you're a second over, they literally cut your microphone off. So I want to make sure that was not the case. So they did call me. I stayed on the meeting for about 4 hours until they actually called me around 2:30 this afternoon. So I spoke for about 2.5, 3 minutes about sort of the funding issues that the school district is experiencing and what that's meant for the town. And I mentioned reduction in town services, reduction in capital spending, probably below average, wages for our staff, as well as, what else did I mention?
The impacts on people in town who are on fixed incomes.
Oh, yes,
Talked about
yeah, I
that.
mentioned, either senior citizens or folks on a fixed income, the override, the Prop 2.5 override that we, have upcoming, what that would mean for our, senior citizens or folks on a fixed income, because I've literally heard in the past few months about everyone's electricity and heating bill, and even one person came to my office and said this month it was deciding whether to pay for groceries or pay the heating bill because they can shut you off. So
Crazy.
yeah. So it's a real Townsend residents. Some of them have a hard time paying bills as it is. So an override, which is partly because of the school budgets and year after year the state is underfunding, that has gotten us to this place. So that's why I spoke about. I would say less than half hour later, Brad Morgan, the superintendent, said a few words as well, and then Kim Craven on behalf of the school committee said a few minutes as well. So I think North Middlesex and this area was well represented at the Ways and Means meeting today. I think actually it's still going on. These meetings can be 8 to 10 hours long, and with the help of Representative Scarsdale, I think our voice is heard today for sure. So,
I did submit written testimony. I didn't do verbal. I guess I thought you had to go into Boston, and I wasn't going to go into Boston with crutches. So anyway,
I wasn't gonna go with the questions either.
I would have gone if not for that, but I did submit my written testimony.
So I think it was a positive experience. I'm hoping that our voice does end up making a difference.
I hope so too.
Some of the feedback at the meeting wasn't solely on the school side. There was a whole litany of things that people were sort of
There were probably 12 bills or something. Or
something
acts.
like that.
Yeah.
People were talking about some wind project down in the Cape.
Mental health. There was a lot about mental health.
Yep. There were a lot of school districts there. I think there was even, it was so cute. It was, you might have heard.
I did.
There was like 4 kids, and I think they were no older than 8 or 10 years old. And they came all the way to Boston from like Chester, Massachusetts, which is like way out west somewhere. So it must have taken them like 3 hours just to drive into Boston this morning. And they were talking about, school funding and how it's going to affect them and extra.
They let the kids speak out?
Oh yeah, it was
yeah.
super cute. There was 4 of them, and they each, took a section from their narrative, and it was really heartfelt.
Wow, nice.
So.
Well, thank you all both for participating.
Yeah, no problem.
It was good.
I was
I hope.
happy
Hope
that
it works.
our name actually got called, because like I said, the meeting is still going on now, so
Margaret is doing a great job.
she is.
I mean, another a challenging year.
Yeah.
And,
Mhm.
on many fronts, and she has gone to bat
Mhm.
for us, and we're seeing it.
I think that was it.
Monica, do you have any reports?
Not really. The CR committee meets this week. I think that's the only upcoming. We will be on our agenda, hopefully, next week, appointing, 2 new police officers.
No, yeah, they're in the academy.
So, yeah, so Nelson has that information. I think right now that's it for me.
I have, as you know, had the planning board last night, and we had taken off the table the MBTA district overlay zoning for the May meeting. But we did, as a group, and it was unanimous after lengthy discussion, select a district. Dave Urgent was there, and for some reason, and I don't know what it was, in all of the discussions that we had and the selections that we made, we did not have feedback from water, Board of Health, or safety. So now we have them all. And not only do we have them all, they all agree that District 1 is the best one. And it's the one on Lunenburg. It's the one on the line.
Closer to the Lunenburg line.
Yes.
I agree with that,
Oh, we
actually.
wanted it to be, I
Anyway,
can't
okay.
even tell you. 18 months later, we're back to what we were thinking. But okay, everything for a reason. So there's been a lot of discussion, there's a lot of back and forth, and at the end of the meeting last night, the end of the discussion, we were all on the same page, including Board of Health, Water, and Highway. So there should be no problem with this zoning bylaw.
Was the guy from MRPC there, the consultant?
Yes,
I don't know his name.
along with Karen.
Oh, good, okay.
And
there was no, I know the one that you guys had picked, it was something about landlocked parcels.
Yes.
There are no, that situation doesn't exist.
no, this is
Okay.
all frontage.
Oh, good.
This is all frontage, and it's mixed. The zoning bylaw will allow for the mixed use of the whole area. This is more than enough acreage, and it's only one owner. It's only one owner. So it's commercial.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, yeah.
taking 100 foot of the frontage is gonna be a long driveway into the back portion.
You mean that the person has already planned this?
No, this is from MRPC planning.
Oh, okay.
This is
I'll
showing.
have to watch the meeting, sorry.
This is what's showing what could happen,
Oh, okay.
okay? And it looks very appealing for many reasons, for drawing businesses to that. And eventually Town Water will be there because they
Yes.
wanna, okay. So hopefully that's gonna work out very good. It's not gonna be tomorrow,
Oh, no,
But it's
no,
good.
nothing
but
ever is.
but it is a good plan.
Yeah,
It's
good.
definitely a good plan.
Good. I'll have to
So
look,
that
I'll
was
watch the
that, and
meeting.
we also have another grant going for the economic development,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's Tracy, and I don't remember her last name, but also from MRPC. And we will have a public forum either the second or third Saturday of June. And that's gonna be the kickoff. Public forum to get input from town businesses, from town people, for what they're looking. The biggest thing that was brought, you're gonna love this too, Brian, I know you are. The biggest thing that was brought out was tourism. So it's the trails, it's the antique shops, it's whatever we're gonna have as a draw to be part of this marketing of Townsend.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
That's very good. I had a really good feeling after that meeting last night.
Good.
It was very positive.
I have a question for you. This is more of an MRPC or a DLTA or whatever. The town had put in for a corridor analysis. It used to show up on MRPC for the Proctor Road intersection
Yeah,
coming this way.
yeah,
And it used to, when you went to the map for active projects, you could click on it and it would show up. I looked at it the other day because someone asked me a question about that. And I said, oh, just go to MRPC and look at, I think it was a DLTA grant that was put in probably a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years. We had put it in when I was on the board, and we used Groton, Pepperell, and Townsend because that intersection is in all three towns. But since Pepperell is in NIMCOG and Groton is in MRPC, which is us, we did not get selected. So it was put in again when Jessica Consalvo was land use coordinator. And I just want to know the status of that.
Nelson could, I mean,
I'm looking
It
at
was
some
a
of my,
corridor analysis.
yeah,
remember
And
the
Jessica put it in. It was before your time even, I think. Nelson.
well, it only sounds familiar to me because I think I was part of maybe like a kickoff meeting. And it
Okay.
actually did happen, within the last couple months, actually. And it was, it is called the Route 119 Corridor Study.
Okay.
And it was George Snow that was sort of heading it
yeah,
up at MRPC.
I know George.
Beyond that, I haven't really been following it, or maybe they haven't had meetings. But there is something going on with MRPC through George. I don't have a current update on.
do you want me to look into it?
Yes, yeah, because I'd like to know, on their, the map of the website that you can go to see the active projects, just 2 months ago, I could click on it and that one would come up.
And now it
And
doesn't?
now it doesn't.
Okay, I'll find
Unless
out.
I'm, it could be me, could be user error. But I couldn't figure out a way to make it come up, and I'm usually pretty good at that. Sometimes I miss stuff, but.
With me, it would be user error for sure. But, okay, I will look into that. And also what came up last night was, under Jeff Legos on the open space. And Beth brought up that it's not completed yet.
What?
And Carol was like, but it was completed. We got the state approved it, and apparently the state approved it conditionally. So
That's a communication
I'm
mismatch.
gonna follow up on that.
Okay, because I'm on the open space committee, not as a select
I
board
know.
member
I
or
know.
anything.
Yeah, so she was shocked.
I'm with Carol.
Yeah, so I'll look into that
Okay.
too, both those things. Having a lot of communication with the Board of Health on different things, like pesticides and rats of calls I'm getting.
I know we're not ready to discuss it now, but probably pretty soon, because I think Jennifer had it kind of every year when
That's Board of Health.
well, no, I understand it, but the select board every year signs a contract for pest control.
Yes,
We do.
and we will.
And I think, I don't know what they currently use, but I think Jennifer had it and sort of her advocacy group.
They don't like something.
Yeah, like how
Well, we used to
rodenticide and-
always, I don't know that we ever went the rodenticide route, but we always asked for organic fertilizer, et cetera. What has happened the last year and a half to 2 years? I don't know. But I know that previously we did always ask for organic.
There've been a lot of calls, and Jennifer has visited and called a lot of people, and it's Board of Health. If Board of Health wants to restrict any pesticides that are allowed, then they're the ones to do it, and then they would instruct the company of what they can use and what they can't use.
Well, we're the
And
ones
they're
that signed the
agreeable to
contract, I
that, the
believe.
company's agreeable to that.
Yeah, so if we have that from the Board of Health, we're the ones that signed the contract, so we would need to
Yeah.
know that it
Exactly.
needs to be in the contract.
But it
So,
starts there.
Okay, yeah.
If they
well,
have
I
an
don't
objection,
disagree.
if they want something not used by the pest company, they need to notify us.
I think it might come down to, yes, it might be legal and okay to use, but from her perspective, certain things should be off limits for being used, even though it might be perfectly legal to do so, and I think that's where a conversation needs to be had, and I think she's mentioned to me she would like an audience when it comes time to
Sign the contract.
sign the contract to, she wants her, her thoughts.
By
If we
the,
do that, I would want an expert here to rebut that, and I will get one.
well, by the time we sign the contract, it should be already determined what type of
Thank you.
things are used
Right.
somehow.
Yeah, correct. And, whether I can't
It
speak
should no
to,
longer be a topic of conversation, I think. It should
I
already
agree.
be decided through the Board of
agree.
Health and the company and
Right. And if the Board of Health wants to
facilities
have
and
a
all
hearing
that.
on it and have pesticide companies come in and discuss it, I think that's a great idea.
So, okay,
but I just want to put my 2 cents because Jennifer has introduced herself to me a couple times, given me some brochures, and I know it's something she's passionate about, so, we'll just have to see what the,
Thank you.
what
for
the
the
proposal
information.
is gonna be for, and whatever pest control measures
okay.
are being used.
Okay. And let me see what else. People advisory's meeting tomorrow. And I have MJCT, whatever, tomorrow, or MPL, one of them. I have 3 meetings tomorrow. And yeah, MJTC. And Historic Commission on Thursday. Was it the library that went tonight? I had it,
They met on Monday.
the library?
The trustees?
Yeah.
I think Friends of the Library is
missed it.
either tonight or tomorrow. Might be tomorrow night. I think they're Wednesday.
Is there one? Okay,
Friends of the Library.
yeah. I have some, are you attending that?
I wasn't planning to. We have FinCom.
Yeah, I know. They start at 6:30, I think. We start at 7.
To get anywhere, I need to get there early. So.
No, I'm
I-
thinking Zoom.
Oh, you're thinking soon. Well, I can't if you're going, so.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm not going.
Oh, you're not going?
I was just gonna do Zoom and go right into,
FinCom.
a FinCon, into our meeting,
Oh, okay. All right.
just to say hi, if nothing else.
All right. I haven't made a decision on that.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking of being here before 6:30 and maybe having my laptop, I guess, on for that time and then go right into our meeting, just so that you know.
Okay.
Okay, this is information only. And then I would like us to, because we're talking about, continuing to talk about policies. We need a policy for the West Townsend Reading Room.
We do?
Yeah,
I thought there was one. And there was a committee.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It's not a policy, it's rules and regulations.
Uh-huh.
We need to update it with the, insurance liability. So we got from the,
All
So
right,
what would
so
you
we can do that. So West Townsend Reading Room policy?
Yeah. And also, I thought we were gonna be doing a free cash policy.
I wanted to wait until after we were through the budget
Okay.
season. I don't want to do it when we're
I don't
in.
wanna forget it, so I'm gonna keep.
Okay,
And then per today's conversation, do you want a policy about the use of town hall
yes.
on weekends? Okay, so
Yeah.
that's gonna be on our list. Just hopefully so that it's clarification for everybody. And then 5.3, I think I have already covered.
Oh, Sabrina has something.
Yeah,
since you're mentioning policies, the Memorial Hall auditorium policy needs to be updated to with
Isn't that one fairly new?
the insurance liability part.
Oh,
okay. Does that have to be a separate policy or can it be incorporated in
Incorporated
use of
probably.
town hall?
so it's an,
Oh, that's a separate policy. Memorial Hall.
there's, the Memorial Hall is separate from use of town hall rooms on weekends.
Okay.
I think we're pretty well
Okay.
set for during the week when
Hopefully
we're
this will
busy and
just be
everybody's meeting and all
Yeah,
One
that.
that's
page
for the
things.
weekends.
That's for weekends, yeah.
So-
Weekend usage of town hall.
Okay, so hopefully just one page, I mean, these aren't gonna be like books.
Well, I have a question. So, speaking of, since the auditors noted rules and regulations and, insurance liability, is there an issue then, insurance liability on the weekends with doing what we just did earlier
I
today?
know, but it's a good question.
It's not renting, so Memorial Hall and the reading room is renting for,
Okay.
True.
So it's
anyone can
monies.
rent it, a
It's
party
when
or
money's
something.
change hands.
Yeah, but.
Okay.
Yeah,
But just the use of the meeting rooms by town residents, that's not a insurance thing.
We're not renting it out.
Okay,
We're not collecting funds for it.
okay. Anything else? Okay.
So eventually you talked about, going through most of the policies to change stuff.
Yeah.
We need to do that, yes.
But as these pop up, we know that we want to get them out of the way.
Yes.
Okay. 5.3, announcements, communications, volunteer. Do we get any volunteers on this one?
We got one, but I believe, thought it was for the recycling committee, but it seems to be for the recycling center instead.
Oh,
It's not a.
Oh,
it's not a volunteer form. It's a,
is there a recycling committee?
yeah,
Mhm,
there is.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
There is.
So it's two separate things. And that's what we weren't 100% sure of when that came in, but it looks like it is for the recycling center.
I guess.
Yeah. So that's through the Board of Health and.
Yeah, okay. Well, just as a side note, we have lots of positions for people who would like to do something to the town, for the town, to the town. That was a Freudian
We
slip,
have
you
that
know,
covered.
that was enough. Oh, God. All right, our next meeting is, tomorrow night, April 9th at 7 PM. And joint meeting with finance at the forum. So,
No, tomorrow night is the joint meeting with the finance committee
okay.
at 7 PM.
And then April 15th at 6 PM is.
That's
the
our
forum.
regular meeting.
Tomorrow night's a regular meeting, the meeting on the 15th, because the forum's the 16th.
Correct.
Okay,
So tomorrow night is a joint meeting with the finance committee at 7 PM.
yes.
April 15th is the next regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen.
Yes.
And on April 16th is the Selectmen's Forum for the town regarding budget.
Yes.
Mhm.
So are we now, for tomorrow night, a revised agenda is posted. And I actually printed it off, and it's correct that we're meeting at 7:05. There had been a typo, so Sabrina put in the revised this morning. Board of Health decided, I guess that they didn't want to revise theirs because they just copied.
The Board of Health or the FinCom?
The Board of Health.
The Board of
was
Health.
invited.
Oh, the
Now,
whole Board of Health as a joint meeting.
Was
Yes.
invited, but.
Oh, okay, that's good.
We posted as joined by the Board of Health.
okay, and but we have a joint meeting with Finance and the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Health on ours. No, that's the Board of Health, sorry. They did,
I'm looking at
They-
ours,
they-
and we have a joint meeting with FinCom and a joint meeting with Board of Health on ours.
yes, and then I printed off the Board of Health, which I do not believe, no, it was posted. The Board of Health, this says April 7th at 4:04 PM from the town clerk. And that is there, but because they wrote on 2.1605, they decided not to meet because they didn't want any open meeting law violations. I
Okay,
had
I'm
made this-
totally accused.
I had made the suggestion, I spoke to Carl about this.
Okay.
I had made the suggestion that they just post a revised agenda like we did and change that to 7:05. And they decided not to do that.
I was not aware that it was posted. After all.
I have it,
I see it now. too.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't there earlier.
okay. And then,
Okay, so what time are we meeting tomorrow? That's all I
7.
want to know.
7.
So why is the 6:05 here?
It
That
was a
It
typo.
was a typo.
It was a typo.
Do we need to revise?
We
Ours
revised it
has
this morning.
revised, ours is revised.
Oh, so when I printed this, I probably printed it, I don't know.
You probably printed
Yesterday,
it yesterday.
Yeah, we posted,
Right.
we.
Okay,
we
so
posted-
now
this
it's
morning.
revised, okay.
Um,
Okay. I'll just be here.
7:00,
Okay, no problem.
all right. No. Five point five. Review and sign payroll and bills payable warrants out of session,
So moved.
second. And
Veronica Kell, yes?
Laura Schiffern, yes. And then executive session.
And will we be coming back to open, or will
No.
we be adjourning from? Okay,
We'll adjourn from executive, so I will read executive 6.1, executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining if an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body and the chair so declares. Do I have to-
I move that we go into executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body or the clerical union, supervisors union, highway water union, police union, fire union, and adjourn from executive session.
Second. So we are now at 7:59 PM.
We need to vote to go into
Oh,
executive.
sorry.
Veronica Kell, yes.
And Laura Schiffern, yes.